California dreaming about you.
Okay, boys and girls, welcome back. Redmissed in the house once again. How you doing? I hope everyone's doing great. I'm doing great, and we, my friends, are playing some more Magic Legion. Now, what I want to do is, I want to very quickly talk about skill synchronization, or, like, skill harmony, like, working out what skills you need for your team, kind of slightly. Now, the reason why I say this, guys, is because if you look here, I've changed up a few skills because I'm starting to go for more damage dealing spells, but there are a few spells in the game that you really must have if you're running certain heroes. So, for example, the heroes that the skills that I'm running here, which is Fireball and Fire Glob. Now, ideally, if you're running these two skills here, then like the main hero that you would like to have in your team would ideally be the Ancient Dragon. Now, the reason why the Ancient Dragon would be so good for this is because of the fact of his skill 1 is 30% damage to the enemies in the front row, but has a 30% chance of setting them on fire. Now, that is the key, the chance of setting them on fire. Now, if we come back in here and we look at the Fire Glob, deals 700% damage to a single target, additional damage to burnt units, plus 200%. So, if any hero is on fire that the Fire Glob then hits, it's going to do an extra 200% damage. Now, because I don't have the Ancient Dragon in the team, I've counterbalanced that with a spell. So I've put just Fireball in front, 390% damage to a single target with a 100% chance to burn that foe for 15 seconds. Now, that foe's going to be on fire for 15 seconds, which means that Fire Glob, instead of doing 700% damage, it's actually going to be doing 900% damage. Now, the next reason why that spell is so important is because you can upgrade it even further, but we'll go into that in a little while. Now, the next thing that you need, if you're running heroes that create freezing, now, this is the most common set of heroes that do get run into a team. So the Dragon Princess, she's going to freeze the front row, giving you an extra 25% damage on the front row, or the Snow Ice Lord, who's going to freeze the rear row, giving you 100% more damage on enemies in the rear row. Now, these are two very common heroes to run. Now, if you're running these heroes, then you can run any spells that you really like, but the one spell that you must bring to your team 100%, no matter what, is this spell right here, Ice Fragmentation. Now, look at what this spell does. Now, I haven't upgraded this spell yet because I haven't bought it, because I'm not really using freezing heroes right now, but just as standard, 240 damage to the enemy targets in the rear row. So that is both enemy targets in the rear row. Additional damage to frozen units, 100%. Now, remember that extra damage, guys, because that's going to automatically make this spell, if you're running someone like the Snow Ice Lord in your team, that is already going to make 100% more damage to enemy troops in the rear row, you're also going to have this spell, which is actually going to be doing 340 damage to enemies in the rear row. If the Snow Ice Lord has already frozen them, you're actually going to be doing 440 damage to enemies in that back row. So that is one extra key that you must have, because obviously it's going to do way more damage, guys. Now, the final thing, which is probably the spell that near enough 99.9999% of you won't have in your team, or in your lineup of spells, but you must have it. Now, I'm going to show you it right here, guys. If we go into the academy once again, and we go into the advanced academy, you can see right here, which is the cannonball. The exact same as what I've just said about the Snow Ice Lord. This one right here, 200% damage with an extra 200%. Now, I have upgraded this spell. This spell only does 100% extra bonus damage to stunned troops, but this one now, because of its upgraded, it's going to do an extra 200 damage. Now, if you look at this here, guys, deals 200% damage to all enemy targets in the front row. Additional damage to stunned troops, 200%. Now, that means that troops in the front row are going to be taking 400% damage. Now, I hear you asking, well, why should I have that in my team? Because, like, you're telling me it's stun. Now, guys, if you are asking me that, then you should be ashamed of yourself, because the witch is a stun. Now, if you look at this down here, a secondary spell stuns all enemy targets for 4 seconds. Now, as soon as she casts her spell and stuns the front row, you hit the cannonball, and it's going to hit the front row, dealing 400% damage. So, that's not too much damage. I can hear you asking already. That's so weak. Like, why would I want to go and put that spell in when I could go and have, I don't know, just say the Freezing Ray, who's going to deal 480 damage. I could go and put in Blade, which is going to do 500 damage. I could go put this one in, which is going to do 800 damage. Now, this is where you need to be paying attention, guys, because if you have them heroes in your team, you need to make your spells perfect for the heroes you run. So, if we come into the map and we go over into the Death Rift, this is where the spells suddenly go from being kind of okay to amazing. Now, if we go into the library right here and just look at what we have in here, guys. Now, if we come down here and we look at Fire Glob right here. Now, this is the spell that I'm going to be using. When I buy this for 5,000 prestiges, it's going to make that secondary spell go from 200% extra damage to 1,200% damage. So Fire Glob has suddenly gone from doing 900% damage to a burning foe to now doing, like, what is it, like 1,800 damage to a burning foe. Now, if you're running the freezing deck, it's the same principle, because not only is your ice thing gonna go up to dealing, like, now 1,500 damage, you're gonna actually be doing like 1,600 damage because of the bonus 100% damage that the Snow Ice Lord is gonna provide. And the same deal here, guys. Now, you already looked at it. Now, look at this. The cannon is gonna give an increase to 1,200%. So instead of dealing 200% damage with 200% extra bonus damage, this is going to make it so it's going to do 200 damage with a bonus 1,200% damage. So it's actually going to be doing 1,400% damage to both heroes in the front row. Now, this is why it's so important to pay attention to your spells and your heroes. This is why a lot of people will out-damage you when it comes to fighting in PvP, and you're like, well, my heroes are better, but I'm not doing as much damage, because they have the correct skills. So bear that in mind, guys. If you're running particular heroes, you have to run particular spells, because certain spells are just going to give you so much of an edge in combat. So, for example, when I go and put the witch into the team, I move the cannonball back into it, and I actually remove the fireball for the cannonball. So what I normally do is I'll take this hero out and I'll put this hero in. So now I haven't got anything that, or I could still obviously use the fire principle, but because I've got a hero that is going to stun people, what I do is I come into my spells, I take away the fireball, and then I go ahead and put in the cannonball because of the fact of that bonus damage that it's going to do. So as soon as the witch goes ahead and locks the enemy down, I'm going to cast that spell and do 400% damage to the enemy. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you this now, because obviously not only are you going to do a ton of damage, but because of the fact that you're going to do it, it's going to be so much better. So obviously if your witch casts the curse, her curse, and the enemy gets locked down, then just use it as soon as you possibly can, because of obviously you're going to do all that bonus extra damage on the front row. But if there's only one hero in the front row like this here, then use something else, because obviously you're not going to need to go ahead and use it. But as it's happened, we're actually wrecking this guy, so we don't really need it as much. But what we can do here is we can go ahead and hit Fire Glob here. If the enemy team is going to stay alive for me to actually cast it again, I will. But you can see here, guys, they're dead. So not really the best example, because of obviously the enemy went and put the shield up and stuff. So I couldn't really get a damage on both heroes in the front row, because obviously you want to do it when the enemy has heroes in the front and not when they only have one hero in the front. You want to make the best of that spell. So it's not looking good, is it? So let's go ahead and hit this, and then we should get our spell out. Okay, nice. So as you can see here, we're not going to do too much damage there. So let's go ahead and use our blade first, just to get rid... Oh my god, I should have just used the fragment there. But hey, never mind. We can do it now. Let's go ahead and do it. They're still locked down. Let's go hit that fragment spell. And you can see there all that damage, because of obviously there's a bonus extra 40%, 400% damage on it. So there's a ton of extra bonus damage there just because they were stunned, whereas that you wouldn't normally get that damage. So if it was the other way round and I had actually went into the Death Rift and bought the spell that was going to upgrade it to 1200% damage, that damage would have been so much more higher, because it would have been 1400% damage that I would have just dealt there, rather than 400% damage. So just bear that in mind, guys. Make sure that you're not just going into the academy and being like, oh well, I'm gonna go into the ancient arena and I'm gonna go and buy this spell right here because it says that it's the Roar of Thor. Roar of Thor, it does 1500% damage to a single target. Now that's amazing, but this is only going to do 1200% damage to a single target, whereas if you upgrade the other spells, you're going to come in here and look at this, guys. This is going to do damage to all of the front row, so this is going to do 1400% damage to 2 targets in the front row once it's fully upgraded. So you've got to remember that you need to look at what spells you're using, guys, because sometimes the hidden damage is in spells that you wouldn't even consider like a good spell. So you can do so many different combinations of things that it's pretty crazy. Working your heroes to your advantage can really help you out sometimes. Now, what I want to do here, in fact, is I want to go ahead and show you what I've been doing as well. I've been fighting the bosses, guys, and I've actually gone through and got myself 2 legendary relics. Got a little bit lucky, I guess, because I was fighting through... Oh my god. I was fighting through the boss, and I was able to actually beat him rather easily. So I kept farming him with a couple of guys, and I managed to obviously get 2 legendary relics dropped. I had a couple of the purple relics dropped. Now, the boss that I'm talking about is over here in the maze, which is obviously a fair bit further on in the game. So if you're in server 94, I'm happy to help with any of the bosses if you like. Just add me as a friend and I'll help you grind through the bosses as much as I can. But as you can see here, for fighting this boss, we could potentially get purple or a legendary rune. So you kind of just got to come in here, and because of that, like, look at this, guys. There's so many people always fighting on this zone, so you shouldn't have a problem with it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump in here, and I'm going to just quickly jump into a fight. Hopefully they haven't already started the battle, but as you can see as well, because of so many people want all of these relics, there's so many high level players fighting them because they want those relics, because not only do they want them to upgrade into the next stage, but obviously you need them to be able to get the first bits. It's looking like these people aren't playing. Maybe he's already soloing it. I don't know. I tell you what, guys, I'm going to pause just for a second. No, I tell you what, I'm not going to pause it, but that's what I'm talking about. Just go ahead and check it out, guys, because like maybe I can actually get a few people in here because people are on because of the reset, which would be really cool if I can get one more. That would be pretty cool if I can. Now, to be honest, I can almost solo this boss. With the skill set that I actually have, I can actually drop him to about 55% health. So I'm just a little bit out of damage range for my final spell, which is the Reaper's Scythe, to actually come into effect and do a ton of damage. But again, like, look at this, guys. Look at the fact that he's been stunned. Now, because he's been stunned, my secondary spell is actually going to do a fair bit of damage, because the one thing that you got to remember as well, guys, is 9 times out of 10, somebody else in a battle zone will have the witch. So having, like, look at that. They both just got legendary relics, and I didn't. What is that about? Now, you got to remember as well, guys, when this guy readies up, like, you could just bring these heavy-hitting spells, which are fully upgraded, and let people do tons of damage. Now, this guy's obviously got some slow internet because he's not in the game yet. Maybe he's not out of the thing. Let's just go ahead and kick him out. Let someone else join. Because there's tons of people that want to be fighting in this zone right now. And to be honest, there's no point in fighting this thing without 3 people, because of the fact of there's so many people at this point, as I say, because of the runes, because of the relics. You might as well fight in a team of 3 and get the 9 diamonds every single time. And as I say, guys, if you're on server 94, I am happy to help. Just send me a friend's request and I will help join you on your battles for the bosses. To be honest, up to this stage, most of the bosses I can pretty much solo. I think there's only one boss which I can't actually solo at the moment. But as you can see there, I went and got a purple relic, so that's not too bad because we still need some purple relics. Excuse me. We still need purple, but ideally I'm here for the 5 stars. That's what pretty much everyone is here for. Because you need more and more and more to them. As you get more, you can obviously upgrade them. This guy's internet is really slow. So obviously you need 4 of the same ones for 5 of the same ones for every single hero, and then after that, I think for a legendary, for the first upgrade, I think you need like 4 or 5. Or it might even be 3 relics. 3 relics to upgrade it, but it costs you like, I think, 300 runes as well. So at the moment, I think I'm probably just going to farm them and save them up until I've finished getting all of the spells that I want. But it is really easy to farm these runes, farm these relics. So if you do get to this stage, guys, make sure you do it, because not only are you going to get those really good relics, you're going to get 9 diamonds every single time, so they add up quite quickly. Now, I know it's only 9 diamonds, but just think, if you do this like 10 times, like look at how quickly it's letting me do this. If you do this 10 times, you're talking like 100 diamonds in no time at all. All it's going to take is some energy, and like doing this every single day, easy peasy, guys. Like 100 free diamonds in seconds, and the possibility of getting good stuff. But tell me in the comments down below, guys, tell me what bosses you tend to play, because obviously leveling up on XP and stuff as well is always great. Getting the possibility of actually getting any of the good items. Tell me which bosses you're farming down in the comments down below, and how you're doing with the cross server, guys. Are you buying the stuff from the cross server events? As I told you before, I'm not. But if you are, then tell me what you're doing in the servers, guys. And in the meantime, I shall leave you to it. So if you've enjoyed this video, guys, please make sure you hit that like button. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button. Also put down in the comments down below, guys, what spell you're using. Are you using the fire glob, the ice fragment, or the cannonball because of the heroes in your team? If you wasn't using them, then tell me in the comments down below, guys, and I'll call you a fool for not using it with the heroes that you got, especially if you're using the witch, because if you're not using the cannonball with the witch, you're a crazy man. Now, anyway, guys, that's it from me. Peace on the streets.